So war is one of the most powerful and polarizing subjects a songwriter can take on, whether you're capturing the heartbreak of conflict or the resolve to fight for a cause. It requires more than just good lyrics. It demands a deep understanding of what you're saying and why. The strongest pro and anti-war songs hit listeners hard because they do more than tell a story. They challenge beliefs, evoke emotions, and force people to confront the realities of war. To write a song like that, you have to tap into the human experience behind the headlines, the sacrifice, the loss, the resilience, and the hope. Whether you want to write a pro or anti-war song, there are 5 main areas we have to focus on to make this kind of song not only work, but also make it a powerful song that clearly communicates the message of when it's wrong and when it's the right time to fight. First off, when it comes to songs that are about the topic of war, then the war content genre concerns the safety-security level of Maslow's hierarchy of universal human needs. Of course, one could argue that war affects an individual's survival, but what we have to understand is that war stories are about the survival of a group or a tribe. It's not about the physiological survival of a single individual, as we have it in action stories, for example, where we have a hero who fights the villain to save the victim. In war stories, it's about the survival of a tribe, its culture, and the way of life. Because war threatens not only our life, but also our resources, our employment, our home, everything around us. So it threatens our safety at all possible levels. We risk losing it all. So when you want to create your song's main character for a song that is about the topic of war, then keep in mind that what they and their companions want is to secure the future of their tribe. This should be their motivation. And it's important that your song's main character wants something so that the audience can root for them. Furthermore, the threat comes from an external tribe that is coming to wipe out or co-opt or take over the song's main character's tribe, which means the tribe's survival is at stake, which in turn creates that security need. Because if they take over or co-opt, then they threaten our entire way of life. And that in turn affects our home, our employment, everything. For example, we have the song The Trooper by Iron Maiden. What you can see here is that the tribe's survival is at stake, which concerns our need for safety and security. The song's main character and his fellow soldiers are fighting the Russians, who represent an external tribe coming to wipe out or co-opt or take over the song's main character's tribe. The song Citizen Soldier by Three Doors Down speaks to the idea of ordinary citizens stepping up to become soldiers when duty calls. It emphasizes the courage and commitment of those who answer the call to defend their country. As you can see, the song revolves around the safety level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the song's protagonists and their companions seek to secure the future of their tribe. Now, in order to move people who listen to a song about war, this specific topic consists of 3 main aspects that we also have to consider. The need that gets threatened, the core emotion that people want to feel when experiencing this topic, and the core value that gives us a valuable insight into the true dilemma that people in those situations, in those war situations, what they face. For the content genre of war stories, we have already defined the core need. War stories concern our need for safety and security. Now, when it comes to what people want to feel when listening to those kind of songs or experiencing those kind of stories, then we pull listeners in by playing with life and death stakes for the characters that we have grown attached to. But what really drives a war story, no matter if it's in a book, in a movie, or in a song, then it's intrigue. That intense need to know of what's coming next. How will they survive or handle this impossible situation? Especially because the focus is on how the characters work together to survive. We are drawn in by seeing how the main character and their allies fight for victory while trying to hold on to their sense of humanity. And from the core need of security and safety, we derive the core value at stake in the story. Look at the core value as something that you can put on a spectrum, from its most positive to its most negative place. For war, the spectrum is from its most negative place of dishonorable defeat presented as honorable to the place most positive of victory with honor. You might be asking, how do we go from the basic need for safety to this bigger picture of talking about honor? That's because in war songs we explore how the characters try to protect their group and ensure survival. The big question is, how do they secure safety for everyone while still holding on to their humanity? This is the key idea, and you can see how that plays into the core emotion. So those core things, the core need, the core emotion, and the core value, they are all connected with each other. And war often means killing people who are just like us, but from a different group. We are all human. You've probably heard about the Christmas Eve truce during World War I in 1914, when soldiers from both sides came together to play soccer. So while protecting our group is important, the real question is about the cost. The way we survive ties into our culture and ultimately whether our way of life is worth preserving. When we talk about war being honorable or dishonorable, it all comes down to the strategies and tactics deployed. Used. Who fights honorably to protect their people and who uses dishonorable tactics to win at any cost? This balance between honor and dishonor is a central theme that shows up again and again in war stories and in songs that are about war. For example, the song War Pigs shows how the politicians acted dishonorably and didn't have the interest of their people in mind, who had just become pawns in their war games. So there's no honor in what they did. A masterwork song when it comes to the genre of war and the question of honorable versus dishonorable tactics is the song Hero of War by Rise Against. In that song you can track how the song's protagonist turns into the complete opposite of who they desire to be. For example, they show how they beat up that man and how the character tried to stop them, but then he joined in. And then again, he thinks about, oh yeah, a hero of war, that's what I will be. Like he has that aspiration to become that hero of war. But then in the end, he is shooting an innocent woman. And this revelation of what this entire quest has brought him to, this changes everything. This changes the way he thinks, the way he looks at the world, and what he has been promised. So you can literally see how the song's protagonist now questions who he once aspired to be. He discovered there's no honor in what he did, because instead of a hero of war, he became a monster. But at least in the end, he made the right choice, and the only flag that he believes in now is the white flag, and not the flag of his country anymore. Now, another concept that helps us create a meaningful progression in our song, so we can actually write a song that goes somewhere, is considering the concept of a story's controlling idea. Sean Coyne, the creator of the story grid, says that every powerful story delivers a central message that connects with the audience on an emotional level. It bypasses their critical thinking and it shifts how they see the world. It gives them a new perspective. So this is the way we can actually break through to them so that they listen and are receptive to what we want them to take away from our song. And the controlling idea, the message, what you want your audience to take away from the song, in its simplest form is either a prescriptive tale that lets the audience know what actions lead to a positive outcome. So it encourages and inspires them to take the same action to solve the challenges and struggles in their own life. It's like the song builds a bridge for them that they can cross to get to a better place in life. And when we look at the content genre of war, then the message for songs that deliver a prescriptive message is that honor results from the noble self-sacrifice of warriors. For example, in the song Arlington by Trace Adkins, there's no trace of having done something dishonorably. It's about finding peace and comfort and also honor in knowing you have died to protect the freedom of the people of your country. They feel honored to be on sacred ground with other heroes who have given their lives for their country. They appreciate the gratitude for their service and find comfort in being part of a special group like the chosen ones who have made it to Arlington. And the 21 gun salute reminds them that another hero has come home, highlighting this aspect, this theme of respect and remembrance. The song American Soldier by Toby Keith is also a good example of someone being a soldier and going to war for the right reasons. And it also depicts the sacrifice the person does or is willing to make so they can secure the safety of their tribe. Other examples include the songs Some Gave It All by Billy Ray Cyrus, or For You by Keith Urban, Citizen Soldier by Three Doors Down, or If I Don't Make It Back by Tracy Lawrence, which is another country song that reflects on the uncertainties and dangers faced by soldiers in war. On the other hand, a cautionary tale shows what we should not do to avoid the catastrophic consequences that we've witnessed happening to the song's main character. So a cautionary tale is a warning. So the controlling idea for songs or stories that deliver a cautionary message is dishonor results when leaders corrupt warriors' sacrifices on the battlefield. And that's where you can find all those anti-war songs that show how dishonorably people treat their opponent or their own people at the times of war. So a cautionary tale is, for example, the song One by Metallica. When you listen to the lyrics, they are so terrifying. There's no talk about the song's protagonist having done anything of honor, anything good. All they suffer are the consequences of having gone to war, which serves as a cautionary tale, of course. It is a huge warning of what can happen. Other examples are War Pigs, Hero of War, Sunday, Bloody Sunday by U2, or Zombie by the Cranberries. So to write a song about war, we also have to consider this topic's specific properties that shape the audience's expectations. Because same with any other type of story, the audience has certain requirements, certain expectations that they want to see fulfilled to be satisfied by the story or the song. Those requirements refer to the obligatory moments and conventions that a war story has to fulfill completely. And in a song, one moment and one convention should be at least included to give the audience a clear sense that this is indeed a song about war. Now, genre conventions help to set up the change in the story's progression. After all, every story, even if it's told in a song or it's like a scene of a larger story, every unit of story must include a shift to the positive or to the negative. Okay, it doesn't have to be a huge shift, but there needs, on that spectrum that we talked about, there needs to be a shift, there needs to be a change. So something always needs to change, and it should change around the spectrum we've mentioned, moving to a better place on that spectrum or down to a worse place. So stories, even stories that we tell in songs, okay? No matter if it's a big story or just a scene of a story, they are all about dramatizing change. And we tell a story in our lyrics so that our listeners can make sense of the changes that are going on in their own life. And when we say that genre conventions set up the value shift that is happening in the song's narrative, then we refer to the change that's taking place. After all, a great song ends at a different place than where it started from. That's why we focus on change. And the means to set up that change is through including genre conventions. For example, one convention that we've already encountered in some of the song examples mentioned is that one person sacrifices themselves for the good of their fellow soldiers or for the cause that they are fighting for. As in Arlington by Trace Adkins, where another fallen soldier is welcomed to that sacred ground for the sacrifice that they have done. Another convention can be that the protagonist encounters overwhelming odds, like they are substantially outnumbered. For example, as in the song The Trooper by Iron Maiden, their opponent is described as a human wall, something so big that you cannot even break through to it, or you have no clue how to do it. War stories also provide us with a big canvas of the external or internal landscape, meaning they explore what's going on in a person internally at a very intense scale, just like we had it in Metallica's song One, where we are trapped inside a wounded soldier's mind who is stuck in their body. Or we can focus on the external situation by casting a wide net, as in the song War Pigs or Hero of War. In both of those songs, we can see how they not only talk about the soldier, but also criticize what's happening on a larger scale, like implicating the corrupt politicians or what was promised and the reality of it. And another possibility is to include the convention that the song's protagonist comes to the understanding that their death or the death of a fellow soldier or even someone else in their tribe is inevitable. It's the price to pay, just like in the song American Soldier by Toby Keith. And now let's talk about some topics you can actually explore in the war content genre. Those topics are provided by the obligatory moments that belong to a war story. And first of all, obligatory moments are the necessary moments of change where the listener can truly see that something has changed irrevocably. And obligatory moments are unique to each content genre, to each type of story, whether it's an action story, a thriller, a crime story, a western, a performance story, a love story. Every type of story has their own unique obligatory moments, and so does the war story. And they are so great because they fulfill audiences' expectations, because those are the moments that people just expect to see in this kind of story. So obligatory moments pay off audiences' expectations for a specific content genre. For example, one possibility to explore in a song that revolves around how war threatens our need for security is when you include an inciting attack, like the cause of it all that disturbs the country or the people within it, setting up how they feel threatened and confused and fear what is going to happen next. Furthermore, you could show how someone is confronted with the necessity to go to war and how conflicted they are about it, so that their first response is to not go. Which leads to the next possibility to explore how someone could be forced to go to war and how they would lash out to avoid the inevitable. Or you can write a song about the reasons someone might have to go and take up arms. Is it to protect someone, like in Citizen Soldier, or because they are promised to be able to see the world as a hero of war by Rise Against? You could also explore how an initial strategy fails to achieve what they sought out to do, and explore if they are able to transform and adapt to the changed context and salvage some form of honorable victory, or if they will double down on an existing strategy and maybe lose their honor in the process. Most of the time, paired with the convention that someone will have to sacrifice their life, the biggest turning point for the main character is when they have to completely change the way they went about fighting to salvage some kind of victory. This change is initiated by that desperate feeling like all is lost. It's their lowest low. Think of this like the song's main character in the song Hero of War. They wanted to become that hero, but after they had killed that innocent woman, they crashed into that all is lost moment where they had to let go of the image of the hero of war and embrace what they had become instead. Of course, there's also the big battle itself that belongs to every war story. Just like in the song The Trooper by Iron Maiden, where the song is all about that fight. Or you can write about the consequences after having gone to war. For example, what that means for a person's relationship with themselves, with others, and the way they see themselves regarding the side they fought on. So as you can see by looking at the genre conventions and obligatory moments, they play a huge part in helping us know what our audience's expectations are. And so does the core need and the core value and the core emotion, as well as the controlling idea. And that is, in short, what war stories are all about. Even if you tell that war story in a song, or if you want to explore one aspect of a war story in your song. Those are the things that can actually help you satisfy your audience's expectations. And if you would like to have a cheat sheet on how to write a song about war, then please follow the link in the description below.